Nick, tell people who you are, tell them a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Got it. My name is Nick Sargent. I'm president of Snowsports Industries of America. We're a 70-year-old trade organization that supports the winter industry with a mission to help the winter industry thrive. So that's about SIA. I'm a native Vermonter. I'm from a little town just north of Stowe, Morrisville, Vermont.
Oh, no kidding.
Born and raised there, and then I live in Park City, Utah now. This is my third time living here in my almost 30 years in the winter sport business. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's been a fun ride. And I've started in the winter competitive racing side, working and living in Europe with the focus on World Cup skiing. And then I moved back to the US and started working for Salomon when they were owned by Adidas, which was a really fun experience and ride in the big world of team sports and sportswear and then winter sport. And from there, I went to Burton Snowboards, where I worked for about 12 years, running the new business department and licensing, partnerships, global marketing. And that landed me here at SIA, where I've been for 5.5 years, almost 6. And it's been a nice transition coming from snowboarding, from alpine, from team sport, all the way to where I am today, where we're helping the industry thrive. We're creating research products, data points. We own a consumer show called Snowbound, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We have a climate platform called Climate United, and we're just launched the Climate Lab this week in anticipation of Outdoor Retailer next week.
Yep.
And so we're really focused on consumer, climate, inclusion, and research and data, just to keep it very simple and pure.
Yeah. Kind of hitting all the main hot topics here.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm getting where that echo is coming from, whether it's coming from me or coming from you, but let's see if we can kill that before we get too far into this. Let's see. I'm just gonna hit pause and then we'll cut this out afterwards, but I just don't want people to have to listen to an hour of us talking with a weird echo of them hearing me twice. All right, I think we got it. So can you talk to me a little bit about what exactly SIA does? I know you gave me like the quick, this is what it is, but what does SIA do? And I guess most people's relationship with Snowsports Industry of America is on the retail side, or at least from my perspective. So what does SIA do, one, for the retailers and overall?
Right. So, most people and historically know SIA as the trade show.
Right.
And ironically, SIA created the whole trade show world. And if you can imagine, 70 years ago, there were no trade shows. And so SIA created the environment where the retailer can see the product first from a wholesaler, make an order, have that order delivered to the retail store the following fall, and so on and so forth. Then the consumer gets access to it.
Right. It seems like that's something that should have always existed, but it's very cool to hear that SIA is kind of the innovator in that sense. But how has that changed since you've been on, I guess? Because I think OR goes through a lot of changes, and trade shows in general have kind of gone through a lot of changes over the past few years. How is it different? How is the interaction with retail different? How is the interaction with brands to consumer different? I mean, where are we at now?
The internet. It's all about the internet. The fact that we're doing this live in front of our machine,
Right.
in front of our computers, is indicative of where we are today as an industry.
Right.
And imagine 10 years ago, the internet was still in its infancy, believe it or not. Companies were trying to think about how does the internet work? Where does it help us? Where does it hurt us? And we all know the story. The internet's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So when you think about a trade show, this idea of coming together as a community has always been around for thousands of years. Everybody likes to come together as a community. These markets have been around for thousands of years. How we have adjusted our business here in North America around one single show, one time of year for 4 days, and the thought that that's going to be the entire business platform, I'm in. I can do a year's worth of business in 4 days. That's the dream. But the reality is we live in a 365, 24/7 world. And this idea of coming together as a community for 4 days to do the business, that's not reality anymore. We see it, we know it. We see it in every other mainstream industry in the world. And if you have kids, or you yourself, or however you shop, you're online, you're checking out deals, you're checking out product, you're checking out pricing, you're checking out delivery, and you make that decision. Do I want those shoes, that t-shirt, those jeans, that record, that sunglasses, who knows what it is? Yeah, I do. Boom. And I'm going to get it in 2 days. Like, that's instant gratification. But get behind that deal. There's a whole platform. There's a company following all of your sales, and they're following what you do as an individual. There's a brand that buys that information, and they tailor their outreach to you through different algorithms, right? It's why you're talking about how much you love these pair of jeans, and you go to your Instagram and boom, there it is, Levi's, the nasty internet's listening to you. So, the question was, how has things changed? Everything around us is changing, and we have to adapt. So what does Sia do? We sold the trade show. Trade show, did not have enough star power, didn't have enough legs to generate an annual income that could help keep us afloat. Number one, the game had changed. The order timelines had changed. People were seeing product in November and December. By the time they got to the trade show in January, they had seen it, tried it, maybe 3 or 4 times. It was redundant. And so we sold the trade show to outdoor retailer. We'll get to outdoor retailer in a little bit, but we sold it. The question is, what do we do? We focus on areas of activity that our industry is either interested in or wants to be interested in. So we've got to be forward looking, like inclusion. Before Black Lives Matter, no one in our industry was really looking at inclusion, at least with a serious lens. We are now looking at that and actually training not only our staff, our board, our members on what is it like to live and operate in an inclusive environment. What does that mean? We're 18 million skiers and snowboarders in this country alone. There's another, I can't recall what the population of the US is right now, but there's a huge number in front. How do we make people comfortable within our industry, within our sport, within our area of play? How do you get people outside in the snow? And I don't really care if you ski or snowboard. I just want you to go out for a walk. I want you to buy a scarf, a hat, gloves. Maybe that might lead to yak tracks or sledding or Nordic, or maybe that might lead you to uphill or backcountry. All roads lead to the outdoors, right? For sure. COVID has really put the spotlight on us as a culture and a society that when the chips are down, you got to stay inside. You want to be outside more than you want to be inside. I'm going to buy the gear. I'm going to get outside. So we track all of that. So anyone can call us and say, how many yak tracks were sold last quarter? How many alpine skis were sold in the last buy-sell cycle? Snowboards, Nordic, sleds, socks, base layer, You name the product, we track it. So we also have data points. So we can help our retailers understand what products are selling and moving. We can help the manufacturer understand how much of that material is being sold in and then sold to the consumer. And then the last part of that is we do participation and consumer data points as well. So we can tell anyone who's buying it, when are they buying it, how much are they buying it, what's their frequency, how much money are they spending on an individual charge. So we can help the retailers be smarter about how they reach a consumer. We can help a brand or a supplier be smarter how they speak to a consumer, whether directly or indirectly. So we do that as well. We also advocate for our members. So you might have heard about the tariffs that Donald Trump put in place, and a few years ago, everything coming in from China was going to be tariffed at a 25 to 30 to 35% incremental tariff. For a lot of our members, that's their margin.
Right.
So they're
especially snowboard, right?
That's right. So they're losing money on that deal. So we're advocating with the Trade and Commerce Department. We're advocating with the government on behalf of our members. We're as I mentioned, climate before. We're advocating for climate. Without snow, there's no winter. Without winter, there's no business. Snow is our currency. I'm pointing outside because the snow is right there, and it's right outside my window to remind me every day that without that, we don't have a business. So we have to engage in education, in adoption, and retention on climate, as well as advocacy in some of these other areas. You can use the research and data to support those decisions. And you can certainly use that research and data to decide if you want to jump in the shallow end of the pool or you want to go off the deep dive board.
Right.
So
yeah, there's kind of so much to unpack there for what SIA actually does, and I think this is probably good because most people haven't heard it laid out, like what you guys actually do and what you actually aim to achieve. Right? You can put it on a masthead or whatever, but it doesn't mean everybody actually reads it, feels it, and understands it. I think this will kind of give people a better sense of that. One of the things that you mentioned was inclusion, and for me, the biggest push has been accessibility to the outdoors, and you mentioned just going for a walk and sledding and all this stuff. And that stuff to me you're right. It is your entry to that point, but there's a big gap to bridge there. And my question to you is, what do you see as some of the hurdles to get over that gap? And what do you see as potential solutions for those hurdles?
Well, first and foremost, with inclusion being top of mind right now for most of our industry and companies, it made a lot of sense for us to look outside of our normal pool of participants and look at new groups first and foremost. And so we did this study, looking at different groups of people that might not think of winter sports. And one of the findings of that is, nearly 1 in 5 of non-participants said they don't even think about winter sports. This isn't even an idea. It's crazy talk to them. And so for us, I'm thinking about this. I live in an alpine environment. We get to ski and ride as much as we want. So, there's a huge opportunity for us to raise the awareness and to continue to push and drive our community into these groups and really become inclusive. And, we are primarily a white industry, white male. And, nothing that I'm proud about as a white male. I mean, I am in that demographic, but, I have a bigger vision and a bigger purview from my seat here. And I get to look at all of it that's happening around us and say, let's do this study. Let's look at these other groups and really understand, where are the access points? So, almost a third of the respondents that we polled were saying that we're interested in trying snow sports, but it doesn't seem inclusive to me. There aren't people that look like me participating, and I hear it's expensive. Maybe I have the money, maybe I don't, but it doesn't look like me. So there's a barrier of entry there, and And when you break that number down, 32% of the respondents, almost a third, said that they would like to try sledding first. And then additional 28%, right? It's palatable. And another 28% said, yeah, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do snowboarding. So anyway, that really created some dialogue, but also some real thought-starting conversation around, what about alpine skiing? Because we saw a 14% drop in the participants saying, alpine skiing, not interested. Sledding, snowboarding, I'm in. So again, it really starts to create this common conversation around these sports and getting people comfortable and really starting to understand, where can we meet them halfway? Where can we engage them in these sports? And let's start to think about, if it's only sledding and snowboarding, great for snowboarding, great for sledding. What do these buying habits look like if you engage these people? And so, our report goes deeper into those buying habits as well. 51% of the people that we polled last bought snow sports equipment or clothing online. That's 51%. So, when you think about, where do you meet this consumer, 50%, you're going to meet them online. Of that 50%, how many are going to be interested in sledding and snowboarding over skiing and maybe backcountry? So there's some numbers there. And when you start to dig in, you really think about, okay, well, where does mass merchant sit, or where does the specialty retailer sit? We love the specialty retailer. Here in Park City, we got 2 right around the corner, Kohl's and Jan's. They're very fortunate to be in their location. As you come into Park City, you have to go by their stores.
Right.
But does that mean you're going to go in those stores, or are you going to drive by and you're going to be on your phone saying, I'm going to look on the phone first? So there in itself lies a different conversation.
Yeah, totally. And I think this is if you haven't had a wake up call yet as a retailer listening to this too, like, not to have a website and not to be online. 50% of people's last purchases or outerwear purchases being online should say something to you, and that should say it very loudly. And it's the thing that at this point is commonplace, right? Everybody has a website, except for in the ski and snowboard industry. It seems like people are okay with just living without it. And to me, that doesn't make any sense. But I want to touch on one of the things that you said, and I think snowboarding saw growth over the last year. And I think part of the reason that snowboarding is more attractive to somebody that's a first timer is snowboarding does a better job as a industry of identifying with culture, way better than skiing. And it's not even close to me, right? Like, if you watch somebody snowboarding, whether it's a street part or even just what they wear on the hill, it is much more identifiable to somebody than watching Michaela, right? Like, and no offense to anybody that ski races, because that stuff is awesome, but it's not the same level, and that's not what's going to get it's not what's going to get people into the industry, right? Because it seems so far and away from what they're doing right now. Right.
I was fortunate to work at Burton Snowboards, and God bless his soul, Jake Burton Carpenter. I was fortunate enough to work with him as well, and I learned so much while I was at Burton. And it was really about the culture. And as I said earlier, I worked for 2 different ski companies leading into Burton.
Right.
And I think I was one of the only guys that worked for a ski company that went to work for Burton right after. Anyway, I don't know how that happened, but the point being is that what I learned about the snowboarding culture, the essence of snowboarding, just how cool it is just unbeatable. And the style, the fashion, the product, the statement, the ease. Burton was spending a lot of time and resources on learn to ride programs and learn to ride product and ways to get people involved into the sport in, for the never evers and into the super hardcore. And you don't see that. I don't see Alpine companies building product for never evers or having learn to programs. You have to depend on your Friday afternoon program if you're fortunate enough to have one with your local school, or maybe an SOS, or maybe another program which exists in your town. But it's really indicative of creating a culture from the ground up, and Burton was really good at that, and they connected the dots so well. And then they even went as far as getting into this omni-channel space before omni-channel, which was, we're going to have Burton.com, we're going to have our retailers, we're going to have our flagship, it's all going to be supported by our team riders, the content, the imagery, the lifestyle. Like, this is really a lifestyle, and it's a far cry from the, no offense, the Dale of Norway sweater and the Drambuie leaning over a fireplace. Like, that's an activity. That's not a lifestyle. And, so, there are differences there. And, you mentioned Michaela, she's done a great job of, bridging the gap for, gender equity and best ski racer in the world. Yeah. Same with Lindsey Vonn and down the line. But how do you make that connection to that kid or that family that wants to get in the sport? That's really where the conversation starts.
That's the challenge for sure. And I guess Michaela's kind of a bad example, because I think if there is a relatable ski racer, it's Michaela, right? Like, if there is somebody 100%. People attach themselves to, it's Michaela without a doubt. And I am a full supporter forever, for sure. I think she does things the right way and all that good stuff. And similar to Lindsey too. But it's just ski racing in general is not the thing that is so that's not relatable, right? Throwing 2 pairs of skis over your back, having someone prep your gear for, like, that kind of stuff is not, I don't think people will bridge that gap if that's the first impression they have of skiing in general, right?
Well, it's like the F1 phenomenon,
Yeah, maybe. I guess
you're not going to start getting in an F1 car. You're going to start driving your dad's his old car. You drive fast, you're going to crash, get hurt. Same with skiing,
It's true.
You're going to go out like a Lindsey Vonn, a Ted Ligety, a Michaela Schiffer, and you're going to get hurt, But how do you bridge that gap to never evers and make it accessible and affordable and easy that you want to come back?
Yeah, it's true. It's funny. I talked to Tom Wallish a few months ago about this same topic for a second, and he was like, honestly, I think skis should be sold at Target. I really do. He's like, I don't think everybody needs the best possible gear to get an experience, right? It's like, you just need a way to get out there. And sometimes that way is using stuff that is, like, safe, maybe not the best, but it's the way to get out there. And it's my opinion, but
I hear this constantly in my role, the high cost perception,
sure.
And that's what everybody talks about. And I'm a pretty crummy golfer, and I grew up on a little 9-hole course that was behind my parents' house. And I used to play rounds on that golf course in my youth, every day, all summer. And the worst part is I'm still a bad golfer. But anyway, the reality is like, I had a little bag that I think was passed down from another family. We maybe had 5 or 6 clubs in that thing. And we used to walk the golf course at night and find golf balls, and in the woods and the trees. And we would just play, and it was fun. And we made up our own games, how hard can you hit that ball? Can you hit your buddy who's 100 yards ahead of you? And, that kind of stuff. It was fun. And, and when people tell me all the time, skiing and snowboarding is so expensive, veil this and veil that. I'm like, you got it all wrong, man. I'm like, you don't go to Pebble Beach for your first round ever for golf.
Right.
You go to the local 9-hole course and you pay $18 or $22, whatever it is.
Right.
skiing and snowboarding is the same way. You can go to, you can buy your stuff online through, Back Porch Forum. You can go to Play It Again. Just get the gear, and you can go to some of these smaller resorts. Like, I'm from New England. Cochran's ski area is, it's tiny, but you can go there. I don't know what a season pass is, but I know it's less than a couple $100. A day ticket there is less than 20. And
sure, I skied the Brattleboro tow rope a couple weeks ago. And it's $5. It's $100 for a season family pass.
Right.
There are ways to go skiing for cheap, for sure.
Right. So I go back to this. It's about choices. I hear, and I've done it myself. I've taken my kids to Disney. A week at Disney's 10 grand, no matter how you slice or dice it. Trains, planes, and automobiles, tickets and upgrades and meals and Mickey Mouse hats and all that stuff. It's 10 grand. You go to Park City here, or you go to Vail if you want to fight the traffic on I-70, and it's 10 grand. You go to Coachella, for Christ's sakes, it's 10 grand. Think about it. You can get sunburned or you can get your toes frozen. It's your choice. What do you want to do? It's 10 grand. Or, you figure it out. You get an Icon pass, you get your gear, you go to Wachusett, you go to a smaller resort.
Right.
It can be affordable, if you make it.
Right.
Nobody talks about golf being so expensive. Like golf is, Pebble Beach, Torrey Pines.
Well, I think the idea is that nobody wants to see skiing beat golf, right? Like, and I harp on this a lot because the comparison gets made often on the show and to me, where I'm like, I don't want these two things to be the same, right? They have a lot of similarities in terms of demographic and who they're for, so they get compared to each other a lot of times.
Yeah.
My question is, and we can kind of go on to some of this data in the participation study. We're talking about all this stuff, but it doesn't seem like people are like, it hasn't changed really, right? Like, so last year, more participants who made at minimum $100,000 it was higher in 2020 to 2021 than the previous.
That's right.
By a significant margin. Male participants, who have historically made up the majority of participants, was even more true in 2020 to 2021. And it was more people that are white, non-Hispanic people than ever before. So what do we do to change that? Because if you ask anybody in skiing and in the outdoor industry, business is booming right now, right? Like, business is good.
Yeah.
So how do we change business is good to business is great and kind of get more people into the sport? And I don't know. That's the biggest issue that I think this sport is facing, aside from climate change right now, right?
Yeah.
So that's I don't know. It's not even really a question. It's just, I was surprised to see that it dipped down from the years prior.
Yeah, I mean, we there's a few paradigms there, and that's again what we focus on as well. And so you're right. Last year with NSAA, our cousin company across the way, they reported 58 million skier visits. That's the fifth largest all time. They've only been tracking for about 40 or 50 years. Anyway, so it's great data. And if you don't have it, get your hands on it, because it is that good. But what that data told us was that we had more core users going skiing more days. So if you're used to going 5, you went 7, 10, 10, 15, whatever. And that really created that number. And certainly with the phenomenon of multi-mountain passes,
right,
you have greater access. All good stuff, right? Unless you're stuck at these epic lift lines. I love that Instagram. Can we hit on that just for 1 second?
Yes, sure.
That's super intuitive. I'm so sorry to Vail.
Shout out to Alex Kaufman.
You are in the spotlight big time. But man, what they say, no, negative press is good press. But man, I just gotta say, it's really shining the light on a real shit end of our industry. And
for sure.
I'm just gonna say it to say it. And COVID really put the spotlight on getting outside, getting people outdoors. It was a perfect storm for Icon, for Epic, for indie, awesome. And it's great for business. And that's what we're talking about right now.
Right.
I hate seeing and having these negative impacts projected. It's like Jerry of the day, Kook of the day. Like, hey, dude, we have to be more inclusive. We want more people to come out. We don't want them to feel like they're inadequate. They don't meet the cool line in the sand. Same with Epic. Epic is great. That pass is $700, gets you to where you want to go. You hit it right, you're dialed. I mean, I live in Park City. We're the butt of every joke, right? I'm still getting as much skiing, and I'm not waiting in as many lift lines as Epic lift lines might suggest. You got to pick and choose. But the reality is like, all of those are negative means, and we need to be on the positive side. So if we want to include, people from different race, culture, colors, whatever, we have to project a really cool, fun lifestyle, lifetime sport. And we can't have I-70 traffic or the lift lines or the gondola lines in Breck, which have you laughing over the weekends, really taking away from that experience. We got to be projecting like it's healthy, it's fun, you're with your friends, you're outside, it's winter, you can have fun in snow.
Yeah,
right?
That's always my point with that thing is like, if this is somebody's first experience and they're waiting in a line like that, or they're waiting 5 hours on I-70, why would they ever spend money doing that? Like, I know I'm fully aware that if on a vacation weekend, I decide that I'm going to spend my weekend at Disney World, I'm going to have a bad time. So I don't take my vacation weekend to go do something like that.
That's right.
It's not what I'm into, whatever. But if you end up wanting to ski and you are one of the people who decided to pick up skiing or snowboarding last year for the first time, and you find yourself on a Jerry of the day, in an Epic lift line, or in I-70 traffic, like, these are things that are terrible. And every time I bring them up, it's like I get some of the response that I get is, why do you want more people involved in the sport if it's already like this? And my thing is like, first of all, everybody deserves access to the sport. Like, no matter who you are, no matter
100%.
gender, race, creed, color, anything, like, everybody deserves the opportunity to feel welcomed in the sport. Okay. And I think we both agree on that. That's neither here nor there, I guess. The thing is we have to have more people around in the industry so that those small mom and pop resorts can still exist, right? So that everybody can still exist, because then it kind of spreads it out. And the only way to go skiing isn't to own an Epic Pass.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And, and again, like, from the East Coast, it's an easy example. You can be at Burke, Vermont. You can be at Smuggler's Notch. You can be at, who knows where.
Magic Cannon. I mean, there's like
all those resorts. You get a ton in a very small proximity, which is great. And you can go in those directions. Same in Colorado. You can go to Monarch. You can go to, I can't remember all the resorts west of Vail, but there's a ton along that western corridor. Anyway, it doesn't have to be at Vail, but we have to be more inclusive. We have to look outside of this white male group and really, be welcoming. And certainly this year we're getting hosed with the lack of staff at resort and the ability to move around. I also want to bring up the point. In general, these resorts are being held victim to the lack of infrastructure that the cities don't have, or the resorts don't have, to get to and from. All of that's being exposed. But we have to be more inclusive, and we need to get more people out on the slopes. Going back to the $58 million person number, that's just the core user coming back and forth again and again. Great for business, but there's no growth in participation. It's flat. We need new users to the sport. Naturally, that'll weed out over time with the baby boomers who are leaving the sport. But the Gen X's, Gen Z's, we need more of us on the front line, getting involved in the sport.
For sure. I want to touch base real quick on this participants by region of residence map. Like, this is insane to me, and I'll include a screenshot in the show notes for people to look at. But New England, out of 24.6 total participants in snow sports last year, we're talking mountain, which is like your Colorado and Utah and those areas, and it's all highlighted and organized so that people can understand it a little better. 2.2 million participants. South Atlantic is 4.2 million participants. Is that like, that's seems insane to me. Does it not to you? Like that seems crazy. And New England's like what, one let me look at it real quick. 1.7 in New England. So 3 times as many people in the South Atlantic are participating at least once in winter sports.
That was the old SIA justification for being in McLean, Virginia. They were the center of the largest group of winter sport participants. It's all based on volume and population.
That's crazy.
But within, a 2 to 3 hour drive of central Washington, D.C., there's, I can't remember the number of resorts, but there's, 5 or 6
quite a few.
resorts. Liberty and man, I just saw a photo the other day of one of these resorts. Virginia has a ton of resorts. Snowshoe, I've been there. It's actually a cool place if you've never been.
It is.
Yeah, the resort starts at the top and you ski into the holler. But anyway, it's really cool. Anyway, you've got just a mass density of people that participate.
Yeah.
And and if Alpine X does a good job with their indoor facility in Alexandria, they're going to crush it.
They're going to kill. Yeah.
Which will be interesting. And anyway, we'll see what happens there. But there's a ton of people in that area.
Can I ask your opinion on things like that, like indoor ski areas going forward? I think Big Snow is kind of the prime example right now, and Ski Dubai, I guess, if you're going worldwide. But Big Snow has done such a good job at placing what they have. Like, it's in the mall, it's easy to access. Like, people can literally just go shopping and then go skiing, and they can rent everything A to Z gear wise and just go make some runs. And it's booked at like 2-hour times. Like, I couldn't be more impressed at how they have changed access to snow sports, right?
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I think it's awesome. Just to be very clear, I've been to Ski Dubai. I've been to ski domes in Asia, in China, and certainly in Europe. And it brings a whole new layer into our sport. And you nailed it. You can go for 2 hours at a time, head to toe, just easy, making it very simple. And certainly the fact that you can go ski, then you can go shop, then you can go have a churro, Orange Julius. That's pretty cool too. But anyway, but that was the model that Ski Dubai originally initiated. They have the mall right there. It's hot as balls if you're there in the summer months and spring and fall. And there's no better place to go cool off than go make a few runs indoor. And that's the same thing with the Meadowlands. You're right next to New York City and Newark. A great place to get out of the heat in those summer months and the humidity, and a great place if you just want to learn to ski or ride. Great place to start. And going back to the cost, it's pretty inexpensive. And it's like going to your roller skating rink in the 70s. You go for a few hours, make a bunch of laps until you're dizzy and call it a day. But it's super cool, and I really see that as a great way to get people interested in the sport. It's low cost, easy access, and again, like I said, in these areas where it's hot, you can go in and cool off, especially in the summer, and have fun in the snow. What's there not to like about that?
For sure. Yeah. And I think it adds kind of to that culture bit that we were talking about before. I think you're going to see that line get blurred a little more over the next few years, where like what people wear day to day versus what people wear on the slopes gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And I mean, for some people, and obviously for the core user, which is, I think, a lot of who listens to this show, it may not change that much, right? Like, people are still going to wear technical outerwear. People are still going to make it complicated, and that's fine. Like, I like making my shit complicated too sometimes, but
we're good at making shit complicated.
Yeah, that's what this industry does. It's like, oh, we didn't have enough complicated, expensive gear. Let's make more. Right. But I think that's a really good thing in a lot of ways. It's just taking the positives out of that and kind of applying it to a way that reaches more people. And I think we're on the right track. I wish this study had more numbers that supported that we were on the right track, but I think I think changes are starting to be made. People are talking about it. People actually seem to give a shit, right? Like this year in 2021, 2022, people really seem to care about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think next year, I'm hoping those numbers are better, and not just for the numbers' sake, just so that people feel more included. You know, I can tell you, it hasn't been the case in the ski industry forever, right? It's like, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So for a lot of the people that have been involved, you're historically white male population, to them everything's just fine, right?
Yeah.
Like, because there's no there's nothing to change, nothing's wrong, life is good, it's fun, it's a good time. But looking at it from a bigger lens is sometimes it's the way you have to do it, and it's where we're at right now, and I'm glad we are where we are.
Yeah. Everything happens for a reason.
For sure.
Yeah.
I want to touch on Outdoor Retailer real quick here. Expectations for you on the show. What do you think of the show? Obviously you guys are still heavily involved with the show. What can people expect this year for retailers, for people going to attend the show, for people waiting to see stuff at the show in 2022?
Yeah, I think you're depending on what you're looking for, you need to be do your homework before you get to Outdoor Retailer. So the one thing you will not see at Outdoor Retailer are the majority of the larger ski and snowboard brands. They've opted to do the Winter Sport Market, which is a buying group show in Salt Lake, which kicks off today or tomorrow, I think. And so they will not be there. Same with large outerwear brands. You won't see them there. So, you got to check yourself. There'll be a lot of outdoor brands. There'll be a lot of winter outdoor accessory brands. The show will really, if you know the Denver Convention Center, top of the escalator, the main hall, that's the primary. That's where the show is. All the venture out and all the stuff in the halls behind that won't exist. Everything's on the floor. So it's going to be a smaller show. So, check yourself at the door before you go in, just so you know what you're getting yourself into. Certainly with COVID and Omicron and, the variants, you may see fewer people. Not many people are willing to travel or don't want to travel, and everyone's going to be masked up. So it might be harder to find your buddies in the aisles, and certainly drinking beers is probably going to be limited in the aisles. So it's going to be a different show. We're working with Outdoor Retailer to figure out what the next iteration of Outdoor Retailer is, and certainly where that show is going to exist. I'm just reading an op-ed in the Salt Lake Tribune from Mike Kaplan of Aspen, talking about how great Colorado is and how they look after their public lands, and and how they're so climate first. And there's still that riff around Utah and who's better, Utah, Colorado. And I just got to say, to call the elephant out in the room, all the alpine guys, snowboard guys, apparel guys, they're in Salt Lake right now.
Yeah, they're doing it right there.
They're doing it. And guess what? They're skiing in Snow Basin today. They're skiing in Brighton tomorrow.
Yes.
And there's no traffic. And so, all due respect for the Colorado versus Utah versus public lands versus maybe Aspen should figure out where their private jet parking. Their footprint on that. I hear, I see planes parked in Wrightville and Grand Junction. It seems ridiculous. Hey, I'm not a private jet owner. I never will be. But you get picked up and dropped off, and your jet has to pick you up and drop you off and fly around empty. Like, that doesn't seem like you're doing your stated service. But nevertheless, the luxury you get when you're speaking to the 0.005% of the group. But hey, let's getting back to the deal. It's about the business, and I got a bone to pick with some of these brands that want to rub their nose in the politics. You're still doing business in the state. You still have flagship stores on Main Street down in Salt Lake. If you really got an issue, leave.
Yeah.
Good point. It's the pot calling the kettle black. We want your money. We want to be where the business is, but we're going to shit all over your state. Every state has their dirty laundry. California, Vermont, New Hampshire, I get it. And I'm not saying either or. I'm just saying like the winter outdoor business is in Salt Lake right now doing business.
Right.
And, we talked about how good the business is right now.
Right.
How do we get it greater? We need to come together as a community, and we need to decide, the world changes. Our commerce changes, the business changes. Unfortunately, Denver priced themselves out of business. Hotels, transportation, you can't get to the mountains anymore.
It's a shit show, man. Like, I mean,
again, I'm not shitting on Denver. I'm just saying, like, the business has changed, and we have to make adjustments to the business.
For sure.
You can still ski in the morning and do a demo, and then go to the show in the afternoon and do your business. You can't do that in Colorado. That's a nice thing that we have that. That may change in the future, but we can do it today. So the point is, that, we need to come together as a community. We need to come together where we can do the business together. I'm all for open state parks. I'm all for open lands, but what about the medium to small end company that depends on a trade show to do their business? They don't have a voice. They don't have the money to invest. They can't say, hey, winter sport market or outdoor retailer, I'm not coming to your show because of what's happening with the public lands. Those small and medium brands are saying, I need this show to get access to the retailer so I can put food on my plate. I can feed my family. Like, let's think about those guys. And then we can think about public lands. Then we can think about climate. And so I think there's a conversation that needs to happen within our industry. One needs to be happening around the business. And we can't have 2 or 3 brands dictating their views on the entire industry. We can't have a trade show dictate their views on what this industry should be. That's the job of the associations. That's what we do. We represent the large, the medium, the small. I'm really excited to see what's happening down in Salt Lake this week with Winter Sport Market. I'm really excited to go to Denver next week and engage in some really good conversation around what's best for our business. And I'm going to be a little lonely. I'm going to be honest with you.
I'll be there. I'll hang out with you.
I know we can hang out, but I like to be surrounded by my alpine and snowboard and apparel peeps, that really make the industry come together. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a change, but change is good. And we can't just rely on one city to try to figure out what's best for this industry. We have to adjust and adapt. We learned that the last 2 years with COVID. And maybe, just maybe, trade show isn't what our industry needs anymore. Maybe we need a community gathering in Park City based around education, fun, skiing, snowboarding, riding, party, entertainment, music. Maybe that's what we need.
And can I just say too, like, that is almost, if not as valuable as what SIA and OR have done in the past, like having that kind of thing and a brand being associated with that kind of thing, it's got to be as valuable, if not more valuable, in 2022, because
totally think
so much going on. People want to feel like they're in with their brands, right? And I think that's what you guys kind of have the opportunity to do. The business is extremely important, but it's also really important to just do what we were just talking about, right? Where it's like you have media there. You have brands that people really care about in a place that's easy to access from the mountains. I mean, it's a 30-minute drive, and then it's a 15-minute drive to the airport.
That's right.
It's like it's super accessible. And I feel like I'm giving Salt Lake too much credit here because it is a great location, but realistically, people are past deadlines a lot of times at these shows, right? So it's not like I can go to OR and write the order. The reason I'm going to OR is because I can go and I can see my friends. I can hang out with people that I don't get to hang out with all the time. I can get a break from being in my shop. I can go skiing and test gear. Like, these are the kinds of things that are really important to retailers and that are really important to people that are in the industry as a whole, I feel like, because I don't remember the last time I was, and I've gone to OR since it was in Vegas, or since it was SI in Vegas. And I don't remember a time when somebody sat down with me and we wrote our order there.
Right.
And and my shop is a medium plus sized retailer, we'll call us.
Mhm.
I don't think it's just not what people do. You can do this stuff virtually in so many different ways, but what you can't do is you can't build that connection with people just by doing it through a screen. And you certainly can't do it if nobody's there.
That's right. And that's the key point. You just hit it on the head, the connection. We're human. We want that connection. This industry is very passionate. Probably one of the most passionate industries I could find.
I agree. Yeah.
And we're better together than we are apart. And so, again, I'm not advocating for Utah or Denver. Wherever we can do the business, wherever we can get the community together, wherever we can get those connection points, that's what we're here for. And that's how SIA makes the industry thrive.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's true for SIA. It's true for OR. Everybody can benefit if this is the kind of model we have going forward. And from what I've heard, it sounds like there's some good things happening in the future. So I'm very excited about that.
We're working on it.
The last thing I want to talk to you about, and then I'll let you get out of here, is Snowbound. And first of all, what is Snowbound?
Yes.
Tell me about it, and then we can talk a little bit about the Fuel TV deal as well. So kind of give people the rundown.
Yeah, so Snowbound is a consumer-centric platform. That means, this is the first point where a consumer can experience the winter lifestyle, not at a resort, not at a convention center that's close to consumers, but a true first experience where consumers can go in and they can see, van life, ice climbing, ski, snowboard, Nordic, sledding, apparel, and they can buy it there, or they can go online and buy it, or they can go to the retailer and buy it. And this really is the kickoff of winter. So we own these two shows. They'll be in November of 22, one in Boston, one in Denver. And it's a way that we can create an inclusive environment and having consumers experience winter in an urban environment and on their own terms. It's supported by entertainment, by fashion, by experience. There'll be retailers there. There'll be resorts there. There'll be manufacturers there. And again, it's not just skiing and snowboarding. It's all winter outdoor product. Knowing that it's only 2 shows a year, both in November, they're 3-day shows a piece. That leaves another 11 months. What are we doing? So we've partnered with Fuel TV, and we've partnered with all of our members who have, decades of content, and we're curating that content, pulling it in. So a Snowbound Series launched last week on Friday, and so it's an 11 show series, 11 30-minute shows. And you can get it if you have a Samsung TV. It's go to the apps and you'll see Fuel. It's free, and it's a way that we can reach. So I just got the stats: 700 million Samsung products globally in 70 different countries, 20 that focus on winter outdoor sports, and that has a weekly viewership of 1 million eyeballs a piece. So I don't think we're hitting those numbers here in Denver. I don't think we're hitting those numbers. But the idea is, provide the content free of charge in the comfort of your home. On demand, whenever you want to see it, you can go back, watch it over and over again. You can share it with your friends. So we wanted to find a way where we could reach a new audience. We could send a new message about how cool winter outdoor sports are. Wanted to send a message. It's about, not just the hardcore powder porn shots. It's, experiential. What is it like to live in a winter environment? What is it like to, share the sport with the next generation? So it's very cool. It's very fun. And it's a way that we can reach new audience. We're trying it out this year for size, just to see what the numbers are. The numbers so far are good. And next year, maybe we'll go from 11 to 20 or even to 30. there's no shortage of content. We've got tons of content that we're curating from our members to build this thing out. But we're also looking for new ways that Snowbound can lend itself to education, whether it be industry B2B, whether it be consumer, whether it be, a way that Snowbound could sponsor, say, the X Games, or could sponsor another winter event that just brings this element of experiential fun. It's something that you see on different mediums and touch points.
Yeah, I'm extremely excited about this. This is a thing that I think is that people will connect with, and it will be very near and dear to their hearts, I think, especially because of the areas that you guys have picked. Boston, I think traditionally the Boston Ski Show has been phenomenal for so many people. I think Snowbound will kind of take that same idea, but it's way bigger than just that ski show. Right? Like, that ski show kind of felt like the back of a tent sale sometimes. Where you're just like, all right, here's some shit. Go out the front door.
Yeah, you've done away with discounted product and historical product.
Right.
This is all new product drops, new stories. You get to see your favorite brands. You get to see them curated by your favorite companies, and you get to talk to the people that design the product and see it the way that the brand wants you to see it, which is cool. And then, so, out of that is that we are going to be collecting data, consumer data from these people that attend, and we'll be boiling it down to really introduce consumers back to the manufacturer, the supplier, the retailer, so they can get to know their consumer better.
Yeah.
So it's a multi-pronged approach.
For sure. I think that information is super important. And honestly, I don't think enough retailers take advantage of what you guys at SIA offer too. Like, I mean, just this inclusion study or this participation study in itself has so much to offer somebody. If you're looking at your business and how you can improve and where you can improve, there's a lot of really good touch points for people to actually be able to grasp and understand, like, okay, this is why my business is growing. This is why it's shrinking. This is what I need to do better. This is an area of growth. And I think something like Snowbound will actually expand not only the way that retailers look at product, but the way that consumers are able to interact with the brands that they really give a shit about.
That's right.
And that changes everything, I think. If it's presented in a clean, concise way and everybody in the industry decides to get behind this kind of thing, there's no shortage of the type of access that you could create with a show like this.
And that's the point. And like we were talking earlier, the internet is not going away. Everything starts and stops here. You can buy a car on the internet. You can buy your house on the internet. Like, we have to, educate these consumers, on the product, where to go, where to get a service, who are the specialists to help you along your journey. Like, all this exists. We're not here to put specialty into retail. We're here to enhance their retail experience. And same goes for the supplier.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm psyched. Nick, thank you for spending the time. This has been great. Where can people find more information on SIA? Where can people find you?
You can go to snowsports.org. You can find me there. I have an email link there. You can find everything we just talked about right there. You can go to snowboundfest.com and learn more about Snowbound, and it's all there. And certainly, if you see me at a trade show or you see me around, come over. I love meeting everyone, and I love saying hi, and I love drinking coffee and drinking beer. So let's get it on. It's super fun.
Awesome. Thanks, man.